Om Sri Sai Ram. Hearty welcome to Sri Sathya Loka Seva Gurukulam online classes. You are ready? Very nice. Now just let us see what we have studied in the previous classes. Water and its sources. Come on, remind once. Sources are rainwater, river water, sea water, is it not? And also we have seen water which is drinkable called potable water. Water which is not able to drink is called as non-potable water. And suppose you say, what happens if you drink such dirty water? It leads to so many diseases, water-related diseases like diarrhea, malaria, cholera, and so on. That's why you should be drinking pure water. And it is good that if you drink hot water, that will be very healthy. And if it is not pure, you must purify it to make it drinkable. How it can be done? In some of the houses you got water purifiers. Is it not? What you call aqua guard. There will be filters in that, and water will be made to flow into that, and water will become pure. And there are some process for that also. We have got that, of course, aqua guards are nothing but the process is called filtration. There will be bulbs inside, porous bulbs made up of some organic materials. And you can have decantation, filtration, chlorination, etc. etc. There are all the different processes by which water can be made drinkable. Properties of water, you already know it very well. It is a universal solvent which dissolves most of the acids, bases and salts, and its density is maximum at 4 degrees Celsius, and it has no shape of its own. It takes the shape of the container. It is colorless and odorless liquid, but it has taste. Like that, we have studied some properties of water. Some property like polar nature also we studied. Surface tension also we studied. Is it not? Also we have seen about the reaction with soap solution. The sample of water which gives more lather is called soft water. The sample of water which gives less lather is called hard water. So these are the things we already seen. In hard water there are two types, temporary hard water and permanent hard water. The sample of water containing bicarbonates of calcium and magnesium is called temporary. The sample of water which contains sulfates and chlorides of calcium and magnesium are called permanent hard water. So there is necessity of making it soften also. We have seen in the previous class. Now answer to the home assignment. Is water a polar or non-polar solvent? Why do you think so? Yes. Answer is yes. Water is a polar solvent. It has a small positive charge on the hydrogen atoms, negative charge on the oxygen atom. Thus it is polar nature and can dissolve ionic compounds. Can you give example of ionic compounds? Say acids like sulfuric acid, nitric acid, hydrochloric acid. Bases like sodium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide, calcium hydroxide. And salts like sodium chloride, copper sulfate, etc. etc. They are all called ionic compounds. They dissolve in water because of the polar nature. And what kind of charges you find when ebonite rod rubbed with fur, the charges is negative, minus. And glass rod rubbed with silk, you have positive. So what happens when you rub it? The charges will flow from one thing to another. So when you rub this ebonite rod with the fur, the electrons will be transferred. That's why it becomes minus. Glass rod rubbed with silk, electrons will be absorbed. And that's why it becomes positive. Blade floats on the surface of water even though it is heavier than water. Why? Even needle also, blade also. If you keep slowly and carefully on the surface of water, it floats because of the property called surface tension. Why? The upper layer of water acts like a tight sheet and holds the blade. This property is because of intermolecular forces. Okay? But you should note that if a small disturbance made in the surface of water will make it sink, not float. So now coming to one more property of water called capillarity. What do you mean capillarity? See, when you take your dry cloth and put in water, the dry cloth become wet. Why? Because each thread of your shirt or pant, whatever it is, will absorb water. You have seen how ink is taken from the ink bottle by means of a filler. That is capillarity. You have seen how injections are given, especially corona time, compulsory injection. And this injection, what they do? They will have a bottle of the serum or the medicine, and they inject using a small needle, and they pull it. When they pull, all the serum or what is the medicine inside the bottle will come to the injection tube. That's called capillary action. And then they will inject into the veins of the body. How many got injections? No, they are not given. Na? Children are not given, only elders are given. Vaccination, you call it, not given. But in due course, it may be given. So what the action is there is called capillary action. Okay, now let us see some details about that. So capillary attraction. So here is a jar of water. Here is a capillary tube, a thin tube kept in water. The property of rise of water inside a capillary is called capillary action. So water rises here in this tube. That is called as capillary action. Okay, it's a very simple thing which you have seen daily. When a capillary tube with a fine bore is dipped in water, water rises in the capillary. So it rises. This property is called capillarity or capillary action. Okay. Now, the extent to which the water rises depends on the diameter of the capillary. The diameter is less, the level of water will rise more. The diameter is more, the rising will be less. That's all. So it depends on the diameter of the capillary. Why diameter you are taking? Because it is cylindrical in nature. When you say cylinder, it will have diameter. Smaller the diameter of the capillary, higher will be the rise of water in the tube. So that is one more interesting thing you must note. This is the property by which water from the soil enters the leaves around the branches of the plants through the stems. What do you call it? A xylem. When a pieces of cloth or blotting paper is placed on water, it soaks the water by this process. Even ink also. If you take a blotting paper, you have seen blotting paper, and sometimes tissue also you might have seen. What does it do? When you place on water, each piece of cellulose, what you call it in case of blotting paper is cellulose. In case of cloth it is thread. Each acts like a capillary. It absorbs the water and it soaks the water by this process that is called capillary action. The thread strands in the cloth and cellulose of the blotting paper serves like a very fine capillaries for the water to rise. So imagine that is the water is fallen in a place. You bring a cloth and you keep the cloth on the water spilled. What happens? Immediately water will be absorbed by the cloth. Or if you take a filter paper, that also absorbs. Suppose ink has fallen down. Bring one blotting paper and keep it on that. It absorbs. This type of absorption is called as capillary action. And here every particle of cellulose acts like a capillary and it may absorb the water or ink, whatever it is there. So this is an example of xylem which I told. So this is water, mineral water will be absorbed by the plant. It goes by capillary action to all the parts of the plant, to the leaves, to all the parts it is being supplied. So another one is phloem. So photosynthesis takes place by the help of four things. Come on, what are they? Sunlight, carbon dioxide, chlorophyll and water. Water means mineral water, and this is called as xylem, wherein water is being spread to all parts of the plant. Follow? This is also capillary action. It cannot be seen by eyes. Silently it will be going on. So there are so many things in this world or nature wherein works are being done silently. Only human beings make lot of noise, lot of confusion and lot of disturbance. Whatever man touches or wherever man goes, he disturbs the nature. Of course, it is not compulsory. Usually, if he looks at the fishes in water, immediately the mind will think, I must use a net and catch them. If he looks at the birds, he wants to catch them. If you look at the honeybee, you want to disturb that. They have prepared honey from so much of days, collected from each and every flower around. But the selfish man goes there, drives all the bees, squeezes off, takes off the honey. Cow will keep in its udder lot of milk in it. The selfish man goes there, takes the calf outside and squeezes. Not only by hand, he uses machines also. He will be tired of pulling milk from the udder. So he will use machines and see that everything is sucked up. There is again capillary action. Taking milk from the udder is a capillary action. But anyway, we should be compassionate for the nature. You should be considerate and at least let us not disturb as far as possible. But some things inevitable. Now coming to one more thing called as density of water. What is density? Mass per unit volume is called as density. As you already studied, D is equal to m by V. What is m? Mass. What is V? Volume. So if you take this unit of this, it will be kg per volume, maybe meter cube. Or if you want terms of grams, it will be centimeter cube. Like that. This is volume, this is mass. Mass per unit volume. To give some simple examples, if you take an iron nail and put to water, what happens? Will it float or sink? Yes, it sinks. Why does it sink? Density of iron is more than that of water. Suppose you put some wooden plank on water, wooden thing, what happens? It floats. Even ice also. It floats. Why? Density of ice or wood or paper, etc., is less than that of water. That is the meaning. So let us see some examples in case of water. Water behaves like an unusual way when it is heated from 0 degrees Celsius. So that is called freezing point, 0 degrees Celsius. As the temperature rises from 0 to 4 degrees Celsius, it contracts. In other liquids, it expands. Here it contracts. Okay, that is how you can see ice. However, from 4 degree upwards, it expands. So if it is heated up above 4, it expands. So this is what is called as anomalous expansion of water. Very peculiar property of water. Anomalous expansion of water. Anomalous means peculiar. What do you mean by that? 0 to 4, it contracts. 4 to 0, come on, it expands. That is how ice is formed. You know, ice is a form of water only. But it is very, very hard. Have you observed how ice is there? It is very hard, difficult to break. It is nothing but water only. It floats on water because density of ice is less than that of water. So this is because of it takes the least space at 4 degrees Celsius. So the space between molecules will be least. It has the highest density at this temperature and will sink through warmer or colder water around it. So that is what you see in the case of water. This peculiar property, as I just now told you, is called as anomalous expansion of water. Density of water at 4 degrees Celsius is 1 gram per centimeter cube. What does it mean? Means the mass of 1 centimeter cube volume of water is 1 gram. So mass of water is 1 gram for a volume of 1 centimeter cube. Means 1 centimeter length, 1 centimeter breadth, 1 centimeter height. So density of water is so much. I just now give some examples. Even mercury, for example, even though it is liquid, very heavy, something like 13.6 density. It is 13.6 times more than that of water. That's why it sinks. Suppose you put mercury in water. It's a very interesting phenomenon that you will be seeing in nature. And because of this property of water, we can explain why it takes months for a lake to freeze. Lake will not freeze easily. It takes months together. Whereas a bucket of water can freeze by night itself in a bitter cold day. Even you have got experience how your coconut oil becomes hard with a small reduce in temperature. Small less in temperature, it becomes hard, is it not? What do you do then? You take a jug of hot water and keep inside it. Then it melts off. Otherwise, you can't use it for applying on hair. It is daily experience. It's again an example of the density. The surface water cools down to 4 degrees Celsius and sinks to the bottom of the lake due to its high density, and hotter water comes up to the surface. So that's why if you go to the Antarctic or Arctic region, very interesting phenomenon. There will be ice on the top. The density will be less, and below that there will be water. And that is how the aquatic animals like fishes live happily and safely. So gradually the whole water cools down to 4 degrees Celsius, and further the cooling decreases the temperature of surface of water, which finally freezes. So if you go to the cold regions, you find a lot of mountain like icebergs, but below that there will be water because of this special property of water called as anomalous expansion of water. Okay, so this is the figure I told. Can you see it correctly? Can you see? Okay, this is ice, and below that ice you have water. And one interesting thing you must note, you might have heard about Bermuda Triangle. You heard? Lot of ships have been met with the accident because of some inside water there is a magnetic property which all ships will be pulled down. Or if you go to near Greenland and all, the ice will look very small in size, but when the ships come near, there will be big mountain like ice inside water. Of course, nowadays they have very advanced technology, but in earlier days the ships used to hit on that, and many times ship also used to break out. That is because of ice, special property of ice. Here you see the ice is floating on water. Why does it float? Density of ice is less than that of water. Why it is less? Because volume is more. If volume is more, density becomes less. And the advantage is ice being lighter than water keeps floating on the surface. And one more thing you must note in ice, it is so hard. You cannot break in hand. Even though it melts in your hand, very difficult to cut it off. You have seen it? You must cut with a pickaxe or some hard material, otherwise it won't cut off. You can go to and find out in an ice cream factory the difficulty of cutting ice. It acts as an insulator and slows down the cooling and freezing of the lower layers of the water. So the water which is inside that will be safe. So these are the animals or birds you find in Arctic and Antarctic region, cold regions. Can you name these birds? Yes, it's called, starts with P. What is it called? It's called penguin. Very special kind of bird seen only in the, it can be seen only in the Arctic and Antarctic regions. And what is this called? Yes, it is called polar bear. Is it not? Similarly, you have got one more called as seal. So polar bear, it will have a what is called as wool all around it. They all live in these Antarctic and Arctic regions. Temperature is very less, and they are very happy and safe because there is no human beings. Temperature is -15, -20 and so on. Even there also people go. You might have heard about the houses of people. What is it called? Anybody? What is the houses of the people who live in this Arctic and Antarctic region called? They are called Igloos. Igloos. And what are the people called? Tundra region. The region is called Tundra region. And igloos are called the houses of the people who live there. There also people will go, and there will be fishes, as I just now shown you, under the surface of ice. Then people cannot go there. So they will be happy and free, move about. And look at the creator. Look at its structure of bodies. They can withstand such a low temperature. So this explains why the aquatic animals in water bodies of very cold regions do not die in severe winter. -20, -30 also they do not die because of the special property of water. Now we will have one interesting matching game. Here are some properties of water. We have to match with the name of them. Name given to water because of the small charges present in it. You must tell what it is. And the process of rise of water through a fine tube is called capillary action. I told about injection, I told about filler, taking ink, and so on. And the force exerted by the water molecules present on the surface layer is called surface tension. That is a force, intermolecular force. Name given to water because of the small charges present in it is called polar nature. Name given to water which is free from cations and anions is called deionized water. Name given to water due to presence of soluble bicarbonates is called temporary hard water, temporary hardness. Is it nice? Okay, go through it once again. Okay, now we will have one quotation of Swami. So Sadguru Madhusudan Sai, what he says about our life in the world, how you have to lead your life. And the quotation is, be like a lotus in water. So what is speciality of lotus? It blooms when the sunshine comes on them, and it is born in water, though it will be above the surface of water. So it is born in water, but it will be above. So also human beings in the world have to live unattached to the world. We will be attached for so many things. Attached to name and fame, attached to dresses, attached to mobiles, attached to eatables, vehicles, so many things we are attached. Baba says, even though you are in the world, you should not be attached. Then you may ask, then that means we have to throw it out? Not like that. You can operate, you can use, but you should not be attached to it. Is it not? That is how he lives also. Sadguru lives in that way. Even though in the midst of so many devotees around, he is not attached to any one of them. He is above all, ever blissful, ever peaceful, ever loving. Okay, now let us see home assignment. A blotting paper placed on spilled ink absorbs the ink. Why? What is the meaning of the statement? Density of water at 4 degrees Celsius is 1 gram per cm cube. The fishes living in water bodies of very cold regions do not die in severe winter. Why? Will you prepare answers? Come prepared? Okay. Thank you.